Hey everybody. In my attempt to make a buyer completely comfortable with a sight unseen purchase, I wanted to do an undercarriage video of the judge as well and just go over a few things that I may or may not get to in the description. First, as you know, the car is a Wisconsin car since new. It was purchased out of Reedsburg, Wisconsin, which is in the central part of the state, and it has remained within about 75 miles or so of Reedsburg its entire life. With that said, as you can see in the photos and the other videos, the body has rust. The car has some dents and some dings, and it's a true survivor. But the undercarriage on the car is incredibly nice. The frame doesn't have any holes. The floors are pretty darn solid. And don't, the undercarriage isn't full of crust and things like that. So I wanted to begin back here by the gas tank. As documented in the listing, I'll make sure I talk about this. This is not the original fuel tank for the car. It is a correct tank. The original tank had a build sheet attached to it that I couldn't get off. And so the decision was made to preserve that piece of documentation for the car and then install a cleaned but used tank that kind of just goes with the rest of the look of the car. The car had air shocks on it when it was purchased. So a set of reproduction spiral shocks were put on. Maybe somebody out there has a set of late 70 dated shocks that they could have rebuilt and put on the car. As you know, too, it is a Judge. All Judge cars had F41 suspension. So that's why you see the rear sway bar and the boxed rear control arms on the car. You also see the Gardner exhaust kit that was installed. I talked a little bit about that in the listing too, with my decision made to replace the exhaust. The original mufflers were gone, and there were a whole bunch of holes in the pipes, and it just, rather than try to goof around and piecemeal stuff together, Eric makes such a nice kit. I thought I would just go with that. I'm gonna move a couple of the drip trays, and these are actually on here for a Ford, for a Ford that I usually keep on the rack because that's the one that leaks. The Judge, over the course of a winter, let's just say 6-8 months, it might drip, I don't know, maybe a nickel's worth of oil. This car doesn't leak much, but hang tight for just a sec. Okay, the power of pausing. So what I wanted to show you here is, how much of the original floor paint still shows, and just wanted to point out that it isn't like the car is super crusty or anything like that. No attempt has ever been made to put a needle scaler to the frame and do some fluffing or anything like that. The car is unfluffed. So, there is room for that sort of thing if somebody wanted to do that. But again, I wanted to just keep the car as honest and untouched as possible. And so I just degreased things. It took me forever. and just left it as is. Something else to point out too is notice that the bottom of the bell housing there did take a hit at some point. I suspect the bottom of the front valance is probably when that happened. I'll talk a little bit more about this, but the original owner, Verlin Braun, had a need for speed. He was a pilot. He had his pilot's license. You'll notice the Pilots Association sticker in the back window. And from folks I've spoken to in Reedsburg, it sounds like Verlin terrorized the streets up there pretty well. And he was getting up there when he bought the car. I mean, in '71, I think he was 48. I'll double check this, but he was not a youngster. His kids were out of the house and stuff, and I think he was looking for something to go fast with. But again, this walk just I think will put some minds at ease to let you see really how nice the car is underneath. I'm going to spin around here and face rear. So many cool little things. I was looking down here below the fuel pump, and all those original hoses there and clamps, marked vapor, and it's so cool. This stuff is all over on the car, ladies and gentlemen. Just little markings and tags. It's just an incredible piece of General Motors muscle car history. Okay, as always, my name is Jeff Tidkey. If anyone has any specific questions, just let me know. One other thing before we go, I just wanted to show you too is how nice the pinch welds are here too at the bottom of the body. You can just tell, how much I care for this car. It's been just an absolute honor to take care of this car for the last about 6.5 years or so, almost 7 years. So thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate you watching these videos. Take care.